Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and this political journalism lark's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? When you're trying to do stuff on the latest things, they've now announced sort of. I still can't see press conferences. I am going to have to wait till tomorrow to do that. But the official communique seems to have come out. Everyone's talking about it as if it is official. So basically, after Theresa May said that Brexit would allow us to take back control, to be fair to her, it was mostly the Brexiteers saying that, she had to wait for hours outside whilst the real European leaders were deciding our fate. So, that's taking back control, isn't it? Never mind. The result of it, so they've agreed to an extension, as seemed to be emerging throughout the day, of up to May the 22nd, provided that MPs vote for the withdrawal agreement next week. However, and this took a very long time, there were obviously a lot of debates around this, if MPs do not vote through the deal next week, that doesn't mean that we're out next Friday. That now seems to be scuppered. So sorry, ERG there. What they've said is that they will allow an extension with no plan, but only up to April the 12th. Now, that only gives you an extra 2 weeks. What's the significance of April the 12th? Do they really think we'll come up with a plan in 2 more weeks? It's nothing to do with that. It's all about the EU elections. This is what it was always going to be about. This is why they wouldn't allow her to have an extension up to June the 30th, even though some EU member states were sort of okay with it. Clearly others were not. The reason is, if we are still in the EU on May the 23rd, that's when they're fighting the European elections. We've got to take part. But you can't just rock up on the day and say, hey, we're in the European elections now, because remember, our seats have been allocated elsewhere. The registration for all this has to happen on April 12th, I guess. April 12th, 13th. So that means realistically, if we voted through the deal, that means we are definitely leaving. And then they're okay with us leaving by May the 22nd. And we need to do that anyway. Someone was just saying earlier, if the MPs voted the deal, we wouldn't need the extension at all. We would, because voting for the deal doesn't make it law. And also it has to be ratified in other countries. And also bear in mind, even if we had have dealt with it in January, we couldn't have left next Friday anyway. Our statute books have holes in them. There are laws that exist at the moment that won't exist, that we won't be able to prosecute people for the week after next if we left then, no matter what state the Brexit agreement is in. So we definitely need more time. I think people think we could probably do it in a couple of months. So it looks like April 12th. So what this basically means is the cliff edge has disappeared for another 2 weeks. So we can forget about March the 29th. All that has to happen is next week, Parliament has to... The first thing that has to happen, of course, is they have to vote on May's deal again. Because what they have to do to prevent Brexit happening next Friday, they have to amend the European Union Withdrawal Act, because at the moment it's got 29th of March written in it. It's very easy to change. They'll just change that. But what do they change it to? If they vote for May's deal, then they change it to May the 22nd. And if they don't, then they change it to April the 12th. That's the situation there. Now, someone did say something interesting in the comments. Got the old conspiracy theory here. Because we're again thinking about May's remarkable attack on Parliament yesterday. And they were thinking, how could she be this stupid? Now, she is known, it has to be said, she is known for not really being good at making friends. Now, I've got to admit, I'm not very gregarious either. I sort of understand a bit of social awkwardness, but I had to get over it to become a teacher, of course. I was very shy and awkward when I was young. I still sort of naturally am. I sort of have to force myself. And she's obviously clearly the same. Now, this is not very good when you're trying to establish a network. I'm not great at networking, and she's obviously the same. So you can almost imagine a bit of social awkwardness might be she doesn't realise that saying what she said yesterday is going to piss off a load of MPs. And remember, she doesn't need to get the people on her side. She's ignoring the people. She's completely excluded them from the decision-making process at the moment. She needs to get MPs on her side to vote her deal through. So there was this, but obviously what's happened is the exact opposite. She's pissed them all off. There were MPs who didn't vote for her deal the first time, did vote for it the second time, who are now saying they won't vote for it the third time because to hell with her. She pissed me off. There we go. So the cunning plan could be It's very far-fetched. I'm not, but you never know. In these mad times, who knows? Who knows? What was it? Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in Sherlock Holmes said, once you've excluded something like, once you've eliminated all the probable causes, then whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be true. And all reasons abandon these processes. So she attacks Parliament yesterday, twice. Once in the Commons, later on in a live thing, just to really rub salt into the wound, as a way of deliberately pissing off the very MP she needs to support a deal. The theory being that she wants her deal to be sunk and for Parliament to take control, just as, some MPs and MSPs, in fact, Nicola Sturgeon was just calling for this, for Parliament to actually just take control now because this is mad. That way, the crisis is averted, but she doesn't get blamed because it's Parliament that's taken over. And, she's just labelled them as enemy of the people, so they get all the blame from the Leavers, and then Remainers are perfectly happy. But they're not happy with her anyway, whatever she does. And with MPs being angry at a speech, you'd almost think it's possible. Because either that or she is actually as thick as mince for attacking the very people she needs to get on her side to get her deal through. So it's either a very cunning plan or she is just thick. And although she's clearly obstinate, I'm not saying I would call her thick. So, do we have a plan B? No, that is the problem. The reason why this deal has come through, this thing about, okay, you can have up to May the 22nd, but if you don't agree a deal, you can also have up to April the 12th to come up with at least a plan, is because apparently, now this is all reports, apparently they asked Theresa May, what's your plan B? And she replied, I'm sticking to plan A. At which point, they looked at each other and thought, she hasn't got a plan B. It's possible she has and she's just keeping up her sleeve. But nonetheless, that was the conclusion of the jury. They thought, hang on a minute, we need a plan B. We'd better come up with one then. So that's their plan B. That's not what Theresa May's asked for. That is their plan B. So that's the situation there. Now, Jeremy Corbyn was also in Brussels today to have a sort of another set of conversations. What he said, little quote here, says, our determination is to prevent a no-deal exit from the European Union next Friday. Well, that's easily done now with this particular deal because, he said next Friday. It doesn't mean to say they're determined to prevent no deal. I rather hope they are. But it looks like we've certainly scuppered it for next Friday because this is straightforward. Vote on May's deal, gets voted down, but it makes no difference. Then amend the European Union Withdrawal Act, then you've got 2 more weeks. So next Friday, forget about next Friday being a cliff edge anymore. Obviously, it's not been signed and sealed yet, but yeah, that's how it sounds. Now, in terms of Jeremy Corbyn's words, it could actually be quite encouraging, all right, or getting ready to make sure the Conservatives take the full blame for this. Now, I know he wants out of the EU, so I'd almost think I know which one it is. However, I have to say here, because he's saving most of his attacks at the moment for Theresa May and not the wider Conservative Party. Now, if he were getting ready for us to crash out and just wanting to make sure that he can use that for political capital, he'd be blaming the Conservatives, not Theresa May, because Theresa May will be gone the next time he's fighting any sort of election. She's out of the picture. She's out of the picture pretty soon, you would think, in fact. So she's even promised to leave if we try and arrange any sort of extension beyond June, which, of course, we're not going to vote for her deal. We don't want no deal. The only other option is a referendum. Even if the referendum is attached to her deal, that's all right. Either way, we need an extension. To avoid no deal, we need an extension beyond. And so then she says she quits. All right then. Bye-bye. That's fine. Although I don't really want to say that because you never know. The next person coming might be worse. So there you go. So there was an MEP who was on the Brexit steering committee, actually had a few interesting things to say. So they're not a member of the council, but they're involved in negotiations and so on. And they were suggesting that, they might get a short extension of up to a month. So this is what there was being debated. So this is what took the massive amount of time. And in the end, they've given us 2 days. One, it's like a either or. Have you voted through the deal? This one. If you haven't, this one. So there we go. And they also managed to find Nigel Farage for an interview. Like I say, he wasn't trudging around with his band of merry followers throughout the northeast. So he said he's planning for the European elections. He reckons he'll get a lot more votes. Now, what I'm hoping for... Now, at the moment, UKIP do very well at the European elections. They don't do well in national elections. because far fewer people take the European election seriously. It's not really an event. You don't even really see it advertised. To be honest, I only really find out about it because I pay attention. And also, to be honest, in my case, because I apply for postal voting, I'll get them sent anyway. So, but yeah, what I'm hoping is that if we do have to fight those European elections, it'll be plastered all over the media. People will be very well aware of it. I'm hoping it really fires people up. And that everyone gets out there and votes for it. That's my real hope. Let's actually have some representative democracy for once, shall we? And actually, and I don't mind how people vote. I mind a little. But what's most important is lots of people vote, because when you have a small number of people voting, it distorts it, because what you've got is you've got the most irate people. They're the one who go to the polling station. It's the most serious-minded people that go and vote in a situation like that. No, we want everyone. We want moderate people to go and vote. Let's actually have a representative number of MEPs. So that's my hope there. So the situation now is that basically the cliff edge has been removed from next week. It effectively lets us waste time for another 2 weeks. Of course, Parliament has to amend the exit day, like I say, and there we go. And so I wouldn't expect anything major next week, because all the MPs will go, we don't have to whip out our cunning plan at the last moment, because the last moment's still 3 weeks away, or 2.5 weeks away by the time they sit again. So yeah, next week, vote for May's deal and amend the European Withdrawal Act. Sounds like next week's going to be quite a boring week. I bet it isn't, but at least the cliff edge has stopped for a bit. Someone's banged the brakes on, if only for 2 more weeks. So there we are. I hope you found that interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content, and click the bell notification as well. And until next time, I'll see you later, and I'm going to bed.